Someone was in the dark room. At 8 p.m. every night, our cat sits on the second floor and calls out to us. When he called out again last week, I replied, "Yes, what is it?" and went upstairs to take a look. The bedroom was dark, but someone was there with my cat. It was an old man. His eyes were wide open and his teeth bared. He had a square face and a side part in his hair, and his head tilted slightly as he looked at me. I ran downstairs screaming to my husband, "Police! Call the police! Someone's upstairs!" He quickly called them, and we grabbed a bat and waited outside, thinking it was too dangerous to deal with him directly. However, no one came out. The police arrived. There was no one inside either. The police searched all over, in the closet and under the bed. We could see all the windows and exits, and no one came out. So they decided I must have been mistaken things, and that was that. But I really did see someone. I don't know whether it was a hallucination or not, but I was shocked and embarrassed, so I felt bad. I apologised to the police. The next day at 8 p.m, the cat started meowing again. This time my husband went up with a bat, just in case, and apparently he was there again. The same person I saw the day before. "Oi you," he screamed. I ran upstairs with my chopping board, but my husband was just sitting on the floor. No one was there. According to my husband, he was standing there, baring his teeth, with his head tilted slightly. And this ka-ta-ta-ta-ta sound started coming out of his mouth. He ran at my husband, but then suddenly disappeared right before his eyes. This week we'll be staying at my parents' house with the cat. Tomorrow we'll be going to visit a shrine. Don't come near here. This story takes place in a small country town. There was a fairly well-known guy in his early 20s who was kind and dumb. I think he was intellectually disabled. He was the type of person who'd ride around on his bike with his hands above his head while screaming. But to us elementary school kids, he was funny, and therefore an easy target for our teasing. One day I decided to tease him a little and rode around on my bike with my hands in the air. He came up to me in an angry voice and said, "Don't copy me," and chased me away. Another time we were playing in an open lot behind the flood bank just outside the city. He was pushing his bike and looking around to see if anyone was watching him, and he walked towards us. He had a serious look on his face, or rather he actually looked quite intelligent for once. It was like he had a completely different atmosphere to usual. This is what he said to us. "You guys think I'm stupid, but I don't care about that, okay? Now listen, the day after tomorrow, something terrible is going to happen in this town. Someone's going to come from a faraway planet and take away some children. This area here is very dangerous, so whatever you do, don't come near it. You and I are the only ones who know about this. You mustn't say anything to anyone." He looked around the area one more time and then left. It was just the three of us, and we were like, what was he on about? And that was that. Later that day we went home. 2 days later on Sunday it was raining heavily, so I just stayed inside and watched TV. When I went to school the next morning, I noticed the teachers were acting strangely. There was no difference with my two friends. I later heard from my parents that San's children had gone missing. We weren't terribly close, so they didn't talk about it much. But ever since that day, I never saw that guy again. Our family often moves around for work, so the next year we moved away. As for the children who went missing and the guy, well, I don't know what happened to them after that, but every now and then I think about him in particular. The Tunnel of Rumour. This happened about 10 years ago. It was around the New Year's holidays, and a bunch of my friends who had moved away gathered for a New Year reunion party. I think regardless of where you live, there are always stories about particular ghost spots. Where I'm from, Nagasaki, the most famous haunted house was destroyed, so there was nothing else around worth mentioning. We knew the place wasn't a real haunted mansion, but we didn't know of any other scary places. Seeing as it had been so long since we were all together, the three of us decided to go for a drive. Yuchino, alias male, Shiraishi, alias female, and Hisamatsu, myself of course, also an alias. We were all really excited. Without a particular destination in mind, we drove around till the early hours of the morning when we came across an infamous tunnel where ghosts supposedly appeared. It was late, but we were all adults, so we decided, what the hell, let's check it out. To be honest, I'd used the tunnel numerous times and nothing had ever happened, but we decided it would be something cool to tell others about, so we agreed to have a look. Yuchino was driving, and at first he wanted to park the car somewhere out of the way so we could all walk through the tunnel together. But the road outside the tunnel was narrow and there was no space. He decided to park on the other side of the tunnel and said he would wait for the two of us to come out. Just in case some cars came, he would be able to move aside and call out to us. But it was also cold, so maybe he just didn't want to get out of the car. Shiraishi and I got out at the tunnel entrance and Yuchino drove inside. He started honking the horn, messing around, and when he exited the tunnel, we saw the hazard lights go on. However, they soon disappeared, and we couldn't even see the tail lights. At the time, I thought he turned them off on purpose to try and scare us. The tunnel was so narrow that barely a single bus could pass through it, and was short enough that you could see from one end to the other. If an opposing car came, one would have to wait on the other side of the tunnel for it to pass. It was creepy, but we passed through without incident. When we reached the other side, Yuchino wasn't there. There were no cars coming, and we could see the exit while we were walking, so we should have been able to see if he took off. It would have been really shitty of him to leave us behind late at night in an unpopulated area, so Shiraishi called him. "We're here, where are you?" "Huh? I haven't moved. I'm in the same spot." "What? But we just exited the tunnel." "I don't know what you're saying. No one's here. Who's that? Hello? Hello?" Here. In the end, the phone disconnected, and when we tried to call back, the phone said it was out of range. My phone was still inside Yuchino's car, but hanging around wouldn't do us much good, so we decided to walk back to the main road and call a taxi. We were out in the countryside, so we had to wait quite a while, and it ended up being really expensive. After that, Yuchino went missing. Strangely, my phone never said it was out of range and rang each time when I tried to call it. The next morning, someone found it by the tunnel entrance while out walking and picked it up for me. It came without a scratch. Yuchino stopped the car at the tunnel exit, so why was my phone found near the entrance? That was strange, but while I was calling Yuchino over and over from Shiraishi's phone, I noticed several attempts from Yuchino trying to call us too. Only one call got through. "Hisamatsu, where are you coming out When Are You Coming Out? That was it. After that was just a lot of noise, and I couldn't make anything out. Uchino still hasn't been found, and around this time every year I remember what happened. It still brings me down even now. I've passed through the tunnel several times since then, and nothing has ever happened, and there are no places within the tunnel where my phone goes out of range. Thank you very much for watching, and for those who've subscribed, I also thank you very much. Any support is much appreciated. I hope that I can continue to provide you with some useful entertainment and also some information you can learn from. Did you enjoy that? If you did, if you haven't already, please like and subscribe and hit the notifications icon so you can see when I've done another video. And
I want you to tell all your friends about me.
Until next time, I am Sir Shudder. See you soon. Be safe, be cool.